Okay, I think we will start now.
Yeah.
All right.
So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Placement Bootcamp organized by Communiqué IIT Kharagpur. We are here to dive into the world of consulting. I am Sagnik and I'll be hosting this event with my co-host Aryan, representing Communiqué IIT Kharagpur. We are delighted to have you all for this panel discussion as we explore the insights required to prepare for a career in consulting.
Also, I would like to tell the audience that the chat box is open for you. Feel free to post your questions over there, which we will take up at the end of the session. Now, without further ado, allow us to introduce our esteemed panelists. First up, we have Mr. Bhaskar Jha, who has successfully secured a placement at ZS Associates. Mr. Bhaskar, would you please take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Aryan, for introducing me. Myself, Bhaskar Jha. I have graduated from IIT Kharagpur from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and right now I'm placed at ZS as a data analyst associate. And I'm from Madhubani, Bihar. Currently, I'm residing in Hyderabad, and the life has been pretty good so far. Looking forward for your questions.
Okay. So next on our panel, we have Ms. Vatsalya, who has secured a coveted placement at Kepler Canon. So Ms. Vatsalya, please give a brief introduction.
Hey everyone. So I did my BTech in Manufacturing Science and Engineering and MTech in Industrial Engineering, the integrated program from IIT Kharagpur. And right now I'm working at Kepler Canon as an associate consultant. I joined around 2 months back, and it's great to be here.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay. Also joining us is our final panelist, Mr. Shreyas Mohanty, who has earned a prestigious placement at Accordion. Mr. Shreyas, would you please like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Good evening, everyone. I am Suresh Mohanty. I have graduated from IIT Kharagpur in the year of 2024. I did my BTech in Manufacturing Science and Engineering and my MTech in Industrial Engineering Management in its dual degree program. I'm currently working as a senior business analyst in the Accordion. I'm currently staying in Hyderabad and I'm from Bhubaneswar. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing. We would like to congratulate you all for your amazing accomplishments. Without further delay, let us dive right into our discussion.
So now we have some questions for you. So the first question is, there are many options like when it comes to for choosing a profile. Like people explore various things in their first year, second year, or throughout the college just to get the idea that which field attracts them. Like there are so much fields like software, finance, data, and even core for what matter. So what made you choose consulting as a career path? Uh, could you please address the question, Ms. Vatsalya?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think so when I was in my third year, I was a part of an inter-IT tech team. So over there, after proposing a few solutions, we wanted to find out whether or not it was profitable. So for that, I actually went through those CIC IIT Bombay videos. So anybody who has started their consulting prep knows what CIC IIT Bombay, the videos, the consulting videos are. So I went through those, and that is when I realized that I really enjoy solving those questions. I really enjoy it was so each case was on a different completely new thing that I had no idea about. Something was about hotel profitability and something was about aeroplanes or something like that. So I think that is what I enjoyed the most, and that is when I realized that I wanted to join consulting as a career.
Okay. Next, Mr. Bhaskar.
Yeah, so why do someone will choose a profession is the question, right? So for me, I love working on data. Right. So I was interested in machine learning and data analysis. So when I realized that there are roles in which you have a lot of data to play with, you have difficult questions, very intuitive questions to solve using the data, which no one has thought of, and you can help make an impact by solving those questions. Then I realized that, yeah, consulting is a good way to go forward with. Also, I have learned a lot on along the way. So I would say that it gave me chance to work in a team, without thinking of doing better than someone else, rather working together with people and having a good experience of it. Also, I would say that consulting gives you a chance to solve questions and, you know, bring real change in the world. So yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Next,
Mr.
Mr.
Shreyas,
Shreyas.
would you like to add something?
My path is quite similar with Bhaskar. My internships were in data science profile, but I had a huge interest in the financial part, the business part of each and every company. I used to follow the business. There are a lot of business websites where you could follow, like what are the merger and acquisitions going on, or what is the revenue model and all those things. And moreover, for me, it also kind of worked in like a kind of elimination. My coding was not all that great, so that basically cancels out the software part. Similarly, my grades were not that high in the core subjects, so that basically cancels out the core subjects, the core area. So basically, leaving me with either I have to go with data science and or with finance. But then the thing is, consulting basically provides you. It doesn't basically lets you choose. Gives you an opportunity that you can choose going ahead, because once you're in consulting, you will work with different companies in different sectors. So once you work there, you will have a stronghold of the particular job specific domain in which you are working. So once you have that, then it gives you a better understanding on which sector do you want to go, or in which sector do you want to perform well. So rather than this as choosing something, I would say this gives you a lot of opportunities going ahead. So that was the main funda why I chose consulting over others.
Okay, that was very interesting.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shreyas. Now, moving on to our next question. Usually, we focus more on technical knowledge or command over the field of our profile. So, rather, what skills or qualities do you think of an individual are most important for someone in a consulting role? So, Mr. Bhaskar, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, definitely. So, as I would start, as I'm a data guy, I would start with the analytical thinking. It plays a key role. Like, you will get a problem in a very vague manner from your client that we want to do this, and then you will have to set up meetings, discuss with them what is it actually what they want, and then look at the data, think about it, keep on brainstorming new ideas that we can try this, we can try that, hypothesizing different questions, trying to get answer for that. And in the mean process, you can say that communication skills will play a very key role, because the more you communicate with your team members, the better your result will be as a whole. Through the team, the results will be better. Also, adaptability. There might be instances when, like, you would go to the client, you would say that, yeah, this is the solution for your problem, and they would be, no, we don't like the solution. There are some things that you have not included. So yeah, adaptability to various scenarios which you will be facing through the work experience is something. Also, teamwork and collaborating with others. So yeah. Also, one more last thing I would like to add is problem solving skills. Like, you should have the drive to solve the problems for whichever are thrown in front of you. You should not look at it like, okay, another work has been thrown at me, I have to do it. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar. Would any of the other panelists like to add something?
Well, I think there should be more focus on the communication skills, because if you are great at communication skills, that basically solves the 70 to 80% of the problem. Because first of all, you need to have a good communication skills within the team, so that your solution approach, or the problem that is there, that can be easily handled, and your solution approach is easily understood by everyone. Like, including that, we need to have a good communication skills with the client as well, because for sure, the first thing being, you need to understand their problem. From their point of view, you need to understand what is the problem, what they want us to know. So that's a very important. So there includes the client POV thinking. So that is, I would say, one thing. And then comes in between, of course, for sure, the problem solving and analytical skills. So for sure that is. And once you have a solution on your hand, you need all. Once again comes the communication skills part, because you need to let them understand the solution in as simple as possible, because they won't be knowing technical jargon words. So you need to let them know what we did in a very simple, in a very, so that you are let them understanding in a very layman way, so that they understand. And once they are agreeing, or if there is any feedback from their side, then you need to work on that too. So I think communication is one of the most important skill going ahead in consulting. Apart from that, for sure, leadership, teamwork, problem solving, analytical skills, these skills are for sure there will be a part. But I think more emphasis should be given on the communication part. Thank you.
I think Shreyas and Bhaskar were absolutely right. But along with that, I think as a generalist or as a strategy consultant, another thing that is very important is structure. So in consulting, there's something called structure and there's something called NISI. And structure and NISI are like the two most important things for a strategy consultant. So that is well. So try to, I think anyone who wants to get into consulting as a strategy consultant needs to improve their structuring skills as well as their meatiness. So anything that they think of, they should always think of it in a structured manner, break it down into like manageable chunks, and those manageable chunks should be mutually exhaustive and mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. So that is what you should think of.
Okay, thank you. That was very informative. So moving on to our next question. Sagnik.
Sorry. Okay, so next question is about like nowadays there are so many resources in the market and internet is like filled with so much information. So what specific resources helped you the most in preparing for the consulting interviews and placement? Like I'm telling about the books you have followed, the specific courses, or do the certifications matter anyhow? Like uh, I want to know the thoughts. Like start with Mr. Sreyash.
For me, I didn't have any kind of certification as such. But then there were few resources, like as Vatsala said, there were casebooks from like from IIT Bombay, IIT Madras. Casebooks were there. Along with that, there was the casebook from Indian School of Business, which really helped. Also, there will be a website known as McKinsey Insights, where they provided a few very generalized case studies, as like merger and acquisitions, or maybe growth models, or maybe revenue models as such, as like that. And along with that, if you're like, I think this is the basic that I did for my case study preparations. And along with that, as far as I remember, Communiqué used to have a very good guesstimate book known as the guessing game. That really helped. Like that basically opened up my exposure kind of to the guesstimates. And along with that, as you guys said, there are a lot of resources. Just rather than going to the easy ones of everything, it's better you just choose one or two resources and just go from start to the end, completing the easy to the most difficult ones. I think that would help really.
Okay. Ms. Vatsalya, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the order in which I went for during my consulting prep was the first thing that I did was watched all the CIT Bombay, like Shes mentioned, the playlist videos, because I felt like those are extremely helpful. The second thing that I did was go through that book and solve all the questions in the book. The third thing was solving questions from all these IIM case books, IM ABC case books. They are also quite good. And I think the fourth thing that I did was finally the Wharton casebook. So the thing that happens in these IIM casebooks and the IIT Bombay casebook is that they focus a lot more on these specific case types, for example, market entry or profitability, and they don't focus a lot on the miscellaneous type of questions. And what in casebook questions are very difficult, and I feel like they're quite miscellaneous. You can't just put your profitability structure and you can't think of it that way. So that's why I feel like what in casebook is extremely important. So I think anyone who's preparing for like a generalist consulting role should also refer to that.
Okay. Mr. Bhaskar, you want to add something?
Yeah, so Shreyash and Vatsalya have pretty much summed it up really nicely. Anything I would say would sound like a repetition to it. So I would just say that work on your communication skills, as we have all three of us have mentioned that it's a very important key role, and also try to practice solving case studies and guesstimates, and the materials have been discussed. So yeah, they have pretty much summed up everything.
So very much detailed explanation. Hope this will help the audience. So moving on to the next question.
Now, a question that many people have on their mind, which relates to academics. What is the weightage of CGPA for shortlisting, and does having a POR, position of responsibility, give you an upper edge? So, anyone would like to answer that question? Mr. Bhaskar, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, so CGPA, I would say a few companies do have cutoff of CGPA, but in general, it will not matter that much. A decent average CGPA of above 7.58 is good. And other than that, POR also, yeah, can be considered as a good factor because it demonstrates that you have leadership capability, you have worked as a team member in different tasks. So I would say, yeah, POR plays an important role.
That's informative. Anybody would like to add?
So I think the whole process is like a black box because we don't know what the companies are looking for in candidates. But then what I was told by seniors is that I think for consulting, you need a very well-rounded CV. So it should have everything. I think it should have spikes everywhere. So your CGPA should be quite good. You should have like quite good internships. And I think that is what I was told. But I think the whole process is a black box. So I don't know what actually counts.
All right. Mr. Shreyas, would you like to add something?
So yeah, I'll just like to repeat what Vatsalya said. It's same. You just don't really know which areas you need to focus on. So it's better you need to have focus in each and every area and try to improve in each and every area. So, for example, you might not be knowing yet how strong you are in case study. So it's better you need to have a good CGP or you need to have a good POR. So it's better you have a focus on CGP and focus on POR because somewhere down the line you don't know how important they are, but they might be pretty important down the line. So it's better you need to focus and have a good CGP and a good POR. And the more the merrier it is. The more the merrier. Thank you.
All right. Very intriguing. So we'll move on to the next question now.
Okay, so what was the general process for placements? Like, what are the types of questions that are asked in the non-HR rounds and the HR round? Something like that. So, would you like to answer the question, Ms. Vatsalya?
Yeah, sure. So for consulting, the interviews are definitely important. Like you might have friends who are studying for like software development. For them, the tests are very important, but for consulting, the interviews are really important. So in general, I think it's mostly just the case studies that matter. But along with that, the HR questions. One advice that I would give would be don't think that you can actually talk everything impromptu over there during the interviews for the HR questions. I would say prepare something, know what you're going to say for everything. I mean, I think there's this book called 64 HR questions, which is quite good. I think the starting questions are quite good. Then later it becomes a little repetitive, is what I felt. But then, yeah, so I would say prepare for that as well, along with your case interview prep.
So, Mr. Sreyash, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, same as Vatsalya only. Like, need to focus on the interview part a bit more, because in most probably if you go for the non-HR for the the HR questions, I would suggest, don't be so real, and but that doesn't mean that you start faking things. But then along with that, have a good story for each and every question. Like, don't don't make it like, like as if you have prepared and come and you are giving a monotonous answer. Make it very natural, so that earns the belief, earns the trust of the interviewer. And along with that, always have a good story behind that. In for any question, let that be what are your strengths or weakness, or why do you want to be a part of this consulting sector. Any question regarding HR questions, have a good story behind that, because that makes the story, makes your answer most trustable. And so that I would say. And along with that, if you focus on like the case studies or the any other questions, kind of, basically there will be two types. One will be quantitative, one will be qualitative. So for sure, as Batsalia answered previous two few questions, like you need to have a very structured thinking process, because in the quantitative part you will for sure be need to be good with numbers. And once you have a very strategic thinking of what to do, then it becomes very easier to answer such type of questions. And along with that, if we consider about the qualitative ones, you need to have to go through a very generalized version of each and everything in order to have an understanding, so that you don't act as like you don't know few terms or something like that will happen. So you need to have a very fundamental understanding, because once you do, you using your thought process, we can, like, one can easily answer any kind of questions.
Uh, Mr. Bhaskar, you want to add something?
Yeah, so I would say that the way they select in consulting, it varies from company to company. So I can give a very brief process of what happened with me at ZS. So the first round was an apti round. So that is, I think, general, that everyone should practice aptitude. The second one was verbal communication test, and the third one was a case study round. And after that, in the interview, they were not expecting something really out of the place from me. All they asked me was, how did you solve the case study which we provided earlier in the morning? Right. So they wanted to see how am I approaching to the problem? How am I reacting to it? So yeah, the structured way of talking helps a lot. Also, when you are trying to solve a problem which they have given to you, the more communicative you are with your interviewer, the more verbal you are with your thoughts, that okay, so this is happening. After this, the agar if this happens, then it makes sense. So like whatever thoughts are going in your head while you are trying to think the solution for the case study, the more you talk with your interviewer, it will help you in securing a spot. And also be prepared for the HR questions, they might catch you off guard. So thank you.
Are the interviews like really stressful or not that kind of? Mr. Bhaskar.
Stress is something which I would say is quite relative. For me, I went with the attitude of, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be structured, I have prepared, I tried to be confident. And the more fluid you are, the more prepared you are, the less stress you will have. So it's like that. So yeah.
Okay. So the topic is totally covered. That was a great way to break it down. Now we'll move on to our next question.
So, most people by the time of the placements have programming or other technical experience from societies. So, does having knowledge of such technical skills, say web development or machine learning, give you a significant advantage over other candidates? Mr. Shreyas, would you like to answer?
Well, not like I would say, the knowledge of any technical skill or tool, how the understanding is that, like for example, it's not like that you have ML understanding better than someone, or you have a software web development understanding more, that will help. But then they will understand that whether you, when you have worked in that particular project or particular internship, how thorough was your understanding. That's what they are going to check. So if, and even if that applies for your academics only, the process they take into consideration is the CGPA is, because they want to know how thorough was your understanding when you were like when you are going through your academics, where you do you have a very good understanding or not. That's the basic scenario. Like give basically that just boils down to problem solving. You are given a problem, how effectively you can able to solve the solution. That's the thing only. That's the basic funda. So having a particular technical skill or tool, I won't say will give you any kind of significant advantage, but irrespective of any technical skill or any tool, you need to have a thorough understanding of what you are doing or what you have done. That's it.
Right.
Okay, so
Very
like
interesting.
have you tried for any of tech profile, like preparing for tech profile and CDC and all?
My internship was my two internships and my research internship, both like three of them were from data science only. So of course I was not and given the experience I have in data science, I was applying for data science, but due to some reason I don't know, I was not very enthusiastic about applying in data science profile, because coming towards the placement towards in fourth fifth year, I was very much interested towards going in either in finance or in consulting. So although I have like experiences in data science, I was not very enthusiastic about it. And even if my like internships were in fintech companies, so maybe that's, I think that's what basically motivated me towards like basically shifting from data science. But then yeah, like once you're going in consulting, you are not specific to any domain, so that doesn't really matter.
Okay. Miss Vatsalya, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think I would definitely agree with what Shreya said. I mean, no, I don't think any consulting firm would require you to have any technical skills or tools. But I think it's always a good to have, even if you don't need it. I mean, you would not require it for the interview process or anything. But I think nowadays data is everywhere. So even after you join a firm, I think it's just a good to have skill. Like if you know something about data analytics, it's always a good to have skill.
So now many people like they are mainly focuses on like tech profile, doing SD and
Mm-hmm.
all, and they
Yeah.
are like keeping the consulting as a backup option. So what you want to
That
tell?
I think that would definitely be a very bad idea, because I think I knew a lot of my friends last year who were only preparing for consult, and even for them, I think last time I think the placement scenario was overall not very good for consulting. So I think having consulting as a backup would not be a good idea. I think a good backup could be data, because how much I noticed last year, I think the a whole placement process for data was quite good. Get into consulting only if you're really interested in it, not have it like a backup after tech. I mean, that would not be a good idea.
Okay, so do you have any backup option like if
For me, I think
not
I did not have
consulting?
any backup as such. For me, I was preparing for three profiles. I was preparing for FNCG, consult, and product. All I mean, I think product was sort of my backup, because I was not preparing it like thoroughly. But now that I think about it, I don't think product was a good backup idea, even if you're into consulting. A good backup idea if you're into consulting, I think, would be data, because now I think the placement scenario is better for data. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Bhaskar or Shreyas. But I think the placement scenario was a little better for data. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like data would be a better backup area. So what a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine did was preparing product and consulting together. But that, I think, again is not a very good idea, because the product cases are a little different when compared to consulting cases, and you might get a little confused when you're preparing both of them together. And I think for product also, a lot of these companies required us to make these extensive, this in detail PPTs, etc., which was quite time consuming. And instead of that, I think one could focus their attention better towards something that could have like a better output. So I would suggest having, like, if you're into consulting, if consulting is your first option, then having data as a backup option.
Bhaskar, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so mixing up software and consulting is not a good idea because few moments ago Vatsalya said that in software people are more focused on the test part, whereas in consulting you are more focused on the interview part. So I would say that if you keep on focusing on both of them, then like the people who prepare for software, they will not be ready for the questions that will be thrown at them while in the consulting interviews. Also, coming back to the question, technical skills, I would agree to what my fellow panelists have said up until now, that there is no specific technical skill that you will need to get into consulting, but once you get into that, you will definitely have a upper hand amongst your peers if you know SQL or let's say Tableau, Power BI, because like those are Excel. Microsoft Excel is also a very key technology that I was not aware is that important while you're working in consulting, and I had to pick it up pretty fast. Also, yeah, these things will give you a upper hand, and like in the process of you growing as a consultant, it will make your growth much smoother. So yeah.
All right.
So,
Thank you for all your words. Now let's move on to our next question.
okay, so now let's talk more about the role rather than the process. So, what are the growth opportunities in consulting, and how do you guys see your career evolving? So, please, all of you address your perspective, starting from Mr. Bhaskar.
Yeah, that is actually a really good question because like people should know how your life is going to be once you join as a consultant. So I would say career progression wise, you will start at a very minute level working on a single project. Then slowly, as you keep on moving forward, you will start developing a mindset of how to solve different problems. And as you climb the ladder, you will become an associate consultant, a full-fledged consultant, manager. So as you keep on going up the stream, you will not have a single project under you. You will have multiple projects. So you will have to coordinate with different teams, keep the track of their work. So that is one thing. And networking, I would say, is a very good benefit that you'll get in consulting because you'll keep on talking to different people, your clients, your friends in other firms, and in fact your colleagues in the office. So that is one thing that helps. Also, I would like to add that many companies are moving towards the data science area. So they are trying to incorporate all the data analysis that they do with the data science models. So that would be a key, that would play a very key role in my future. I would say that I would like to do a mix up of data science modeling and solving the consulting questions together. So yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Shreyas.
I'll just like to repeat, it's not a choice. Consulting, it's not a choice. It's basically a platform, a plethora of options open up to you once you work in a consulting firm, because you will be working with healthcare professionals, you will be working with IT companies, you will be working with fintech companies, you will be working with different domains. There are a lot of domains we'll be working with. So as Bhaskar said, slowly and steadily we'll have literally have a job specific knowledge of each and every domain. So once you have, then you will most probably, if you are still going on with the consultancy, then for sure you will grow up the ladder, become associate, then become a team leader, then become a director or something. It's kind of a vertical growth. And similarly, if we're focusing more on the horizontal growth, then for sure there are a lot of options. If you see, if you're working on along with the healthcare professionals, or if you're along with the IT industry, then slowly and steadily, if you found solving problems in IT industry, then for sure you have a lateral jump either from a consultancy firm to a IT firm where you can work as a manager solving their own problems. So yeah, for sure, it will a career in consultancy will open up a plethora of options to choose upon. So for sure, it's a lot of opportunities going forward in consultancy.
Okay, next, Miss Vatsala.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about consulting is the growth that you will that any consultant as soon as he or she joins would be having. So in general, in generally consulting, strategy consulting firms, people get promoted after every 2 years, and the growth is quite fast. And growth not only, in terms of like your position is also quite fast, but also in terms of what you're learning, because you end up learning so much. You end up learning about so many industries, and not only about industries, you also learn a lot of basic skills like how do you manage clients, how do you manage your peers when you're working, etc. So I think that way the growth is tremendous in consulting.
Okay, so is there any chance in future like AI can replace consultants?
I feel like a lot of people talk about it, but what I feel is no, because I feel like consulting involves a lot of problem solving where you have to think a lot. Like most of the time, we have to think a lot. You have to like think about something in depth, and I don't think that way AI can replace consulting.
AI can be a great tool for a consultant, but if you remove the consultant from the equation, then I don't think like AI can completely replace. So yeah.
Okay. So now we'll move on to our next question.
All right. Now, continuing with questions about the role, how is the work-life balance in consulting? I'm sure many people who are attending this are very intrigued to know about this. So let's start with Mr. Shreyas.
Uh, the thing is, yeah, I would prefer, like, for me, it's a personal choice. I don't kind of have a very good opinion on work-life balance, because for me, it's better if there is more work. I would rather stay in the office, work something around the client, and rather come to my home and sit idly or something. Maybe going ahead, I will understand the feeling, but currently speaking, I would, for me, the current preference is for sure I like to work as much as possible. And in general speaking, of course, currently, all my, like, in my company, all my clients are from US or Europe. So due to the difference in time zone, we need to like attend client calls during the night. So that kind of, for sure, that will happen in most of the consultancy firms, because you need to be alert with the client, and it's not that your client will be particularly specific to a particular geographical area. So I think if you are going into consultancy, it's better, just the concept of work-life balance should be back of the mind. You shouldn't be, that shouldn't be your main focus, that you're currently started working, and resting shouldn't be an option. Like, you should be more focused on how you can work as much as possible. So once you are kind of saturated kind of thing, then for sure you can think of work-life balance. But currently speaking, as you guys are in the peak of your life, it's better, like, not, I won't say not to have a work-life balance, but to have a minimal focus on work-life balance.
Thank you, Mr. Shreyas. Mr. Bhaskar, would you like to add something?
Yeah, that was definitely the answer. So when I was gonna join ZS, multiple people, like when they were talking to me, they were like, "We have heard ZS doesn't have a pretty good work-life balance. It is really bad. People work for 12, 13 hours straight." So first, on a overall view, I would say that in my company, it uh, changes from team to team. As you know, a few teams they work for like 8.5 hours a day, few teams they work for 12 to 13 hours a day. It totally depends on the client, on the project, how tough it is going, how tight is the project. And other than that, when you are joining a company as a consultant, I would say that focus on learning, because once you have learned a lot, not lot, once you have learned enough, slowly in the process you will build your own work life balance, right? So every person, there are people who come to the office for 2.5 hours, work there, go back to their house, rest, and then continue their work till the night. And then there are people who come to the office once, complete their work, go back to the house, shut their laptops, and don't respond to anything. Like, so it totally depends on how you build your calendar, how you build your life going forward. It doesn't happen in a day or two, it takes time. So rather than focusing on that, I have a lot of work, I need to rest also, my life balance, work life balance is not good. Focus on learning slowly. While you learn how to solve problems, how to do your job, parallelly you will also learn how to create a good work life balance. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar. Ms. Vatsalya, would you like to share your experience?
Yeah, sure. So I think what they said is completely right. But then, but I also feel like people are quite nice when it comes to all this. I mean, they understand everything. So even if one day if I'm working till late at night and my manager or someone they see me working till late at night, next day I'm told that do not work till late at night. I mean, prioritize sleep, etc. So I think that way people are great, and I think yeah, that's it. What they said is completely right. Is that you have to prioritize learning right now.
All right. Quite an eye opener. So we can move on to our next question now.
Okay, so next question is pretty straightforward, and many people are asking it that what advice do you give to someone aspiring to enter in the consulting career? So, Mr. Bhaskar, could you please start?
Yeah, so advice would be build a mindset thing towards the consulting field first. You know, keep a couple of companies. Everyone has a target company in mind, right? So focus on what does the company do rather than what do they ask in interview, and what is the ethics in the company. I would not say go in detail, but like try to understand how a life of consultant is, how your mindset should be, since you will be talking to someone after working the whole day. At night you will be talking with a very tired mind to someone who just wakes up in the morning in America. So he'll be fresh, full of energy, you will be tired, and he'll keep on throwing questions at you, but you still have to respond professionally in a very calm and composed way, right? So advice would be just be aware of what happens in consulting, prepare for interviews. As we have discussed before, questions are quite unpredictable. Stay updated with the companies, what is going on in the field of consulting. um, Try to work as a team member in your college tenure. Like, try to see how you work when there are people around, because people can do a lot of things on their own. It actually shows your teamwork when you start working with others, right? So yeah, that would be one thing. And yeah, that pretty much is it from my side. Thank you.
So, how would you manage the different time zones? Like,
So what I would say is that in general my work starts at 12 p.m. Yeah, so I have half of the day in the morning to rest, relax, get ready for office, workout or whatever I want to do. And then it goes on up till 8, 8:30. If I have client calls, it goes up to 9. But I work from 12 to 9, so that's somehow, in the US our clients start up pretty early as they end up their office at 5 p.m. there. So that's how, there is a certain overlap where we have the flexibility to schedule meetings. And there are people who like to work in the morning. Their brain works better in the morning. So what they do is they work in the first half, they take a break of 1 or 2 hours in the middle, and then they continue the work. So in my company it's like pretty flexible with the amount of hours. Like, when you work, you just have to deliver the results. Yeah.
The panelists want to add something on the original question?
I think you should have a learning mindset at first, anything being thrown at you, you should have the curiosity to know more about it. You should know what are the other parameters or the, other factors that depend on them or that somehow influence them. So going forward, you need to have a very curious learning mindset because for sure you won't have, like in a particular project, you won't have the full-fledged knowledge of a particular company or even if of that domain. So going forward, I would say it's better rather than shutting yourself down, you should be like very open to any kind of information that is thrown on you, and you should have the capability or the ability to to catch those information and make them useful in your life or in your career.
Ms. Vatsalya, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think one thing that I would also like to add is don't get into consulting just because you don't like coding. I mean, I feel like you should give that also a shot and then see what you like better. I mean, consulting or coding. Just because you do want to do or just because you don't, I mean, you don't feel like learning something or coding, that is not the right reason to get into consulting. Get into consulting because you're actually interested in problem solving, you're interested in working in different industries, and that is why you should get into consulting.
Okay. Thanks for the detailed explanation. Okay, now we move on to the next part.
I'm sure our audience will have a lot of questions they would like to ask. So the audience, they can start posting their questions in the chat box right now, and the panelists will address them. One question that we have gotten is if you could provide a timeline of the process, presumably the CTC process or the placement process for consulting. So, Ms. Vatsalya, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, so I think that is very company specific. Like a few consulting firms came early, a few consulting firms, I think ADL came only 2 days before the final process. And I think so it differs. A few companies come early, a few companies come late. But I think in general, companies also have sort of buddy rounds before the final interviews. But then that again differs. A few companies don't have it again. If they come late, they don't have it. But the final day will most probably be on day 0 or day 1 or something like that, where you have the normal HR rounds along with. So I don't think there'll be a specific HR round in any of the consulting interviews. There might be HR round mixed with the case interview questions.
Right. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions, they can post it in the chat. Yes, we have gotten a question.
Okay, so the
Ayush,
question is, question is
yes,
from
Agni,
Ayush.
go ahead.
His question is regarding different profiles. If one is preparing for finance, will that projects and experience act as a talking point in the interviews, and will it help in the selection process? And also, how to prepare for the quant problems and the aptitude HR questions that mentioned earlier. So, Mr. Freyash, want to answer the question?
Your previous past experiences like won't be a talking point, but will definitely be a point for your interviews because that's how they're going to judge your credibility or authenticity. Like how well have you worked on all those projects. So it's better to have a very clear, brief understanding of what have you done, what are your past research and internships were, irrespective of profiles, whether that is in finance or in data science or any software or anything. So that's, I think you should need to have a very clear understanding of your previous work experiences, and along with that, the quant problems. I think there are a lot of resources. I can't really remember any particular specific which I followed because me and a few of my friends who were preparing, we had a group. So basically, that will be a great, I think, initiative. If you find some of your friends are preparing for consult or any such profile in which you have overlap, so it's better you prepare a group and share your questions here and there, and whenever you find a question you can share, whenever they find a question they can share, so that will be helpful in a very collaborative way, where both of us or the full whole group can be aware of what are different type of questions are there. And about the HR questions are there, the as Vatsala mentioned, there's a book, I forgot the name. If Vatsala can repeat, that's the book that I used to follow. So I think that's enough for talking about all those quant problems and HR questions. And the case studies are if you're going for the case studies, then I would say the case books of different IIMs, as Vatsala said. Along with that, there are case books of IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, or Indian School of Business. So there are a lot of case books where you can follow what are basically the case studies they have, like they were asked in their interviews. So it will be a great if you just just research on your own and then have a clear cut understanding of what to do, what not to do.
Any other panelists want to add something?
No, that pretty much sums it up.
Okay, fine. So now I have a question that if a student does not have that kind of good CG, but he or she is very much good in communication skills. So is there like any chance of getting a very good placement in consulting? Mr. Bhaskar or Miss Vatsala? Yeah, you can go ahead.
No, I think over here I would like to ask, what do you mean by a good, not a good CGPA? If it is
Like,
above
below 8. Okay.
below 8, I'm not quite sure then, but I think if your communication skills are good, it should be fine. But I would also recommend trying to increase your CGPA this semester.
Mr. Bhaskar, what's your take?
Yeah, so having below 8 CGPA might affect your chances of getting selected. Obviously, having it more than 8 is a plus point for you, but I think that even if you have a CGPA below 8 and you are good at communication, you can get placed in consulting. But again, it varies from company to company. You can, like, when the companies come for placement, you'll see that some of them pre-announce that we have this CGPA cutoff, and some of them don't. So the companies that don't, they don't have a hard pass or a hard threshold of 8 or 7.5 CGPA. They are flexible, but it's all about how you go through your tests and how you give the interview. So yeah.
So, like, is there any specific department like that takes the advantage in case of consulting placement? Anyone want to? Mr. Shreyas.
I don't think so. There is any particular specific biasness towards any department. You need to just be very thorough with your case studies and all those things. Department, I don't think so. Doesn't really matter. And talking about the CGPA that you asked, the thing is, once that that you have a very comparing to others, you have a bad CG. Then now the onus is on you only, and you need to do well in all other rounds. Basically, you need to do well to them in the case studies. You need to do well in the guesstimates. You need to be very particular, very effective in your communication. So that's the thing. It's kind of a lot of parameters which depend in the interview process. So once you know that you have a lacuna in something, then you need to do exceptionally well in others, because there will be people who will be very well in all the areas. So you need to have that in mind and prepare accordingly.
Right, that's great. One question that I have is usually when we're preparing for consulting, say, we take a theoretical approach, maybe we solve case studies, but when we have to make that jump where we have to apply it practically, say in internships or even in the job itself, how do you make that jump when you know that you're ready to finally apply what you have learned, and what are the challenges there is to it? So, Ms. Vatsalya, would you like to answer?
Yeah, sure. So I think so during my internship, I interned at a consulting firm as well. So during my internship, what I was working on a risk mitigation case for an NBFC client. So over there, I think so what happened, so we had to figure out why something is happening. There was some particular thing that was happening, and we had to figure out why that was happening and what do we tell the client about it. So to figure out why that is happening, I think you need to have like the structure in mind. You should think that, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out, I'm going to break it down into these pieces, and I'm going to understand from this point of view why that happened, from this point of view. And that matters a lot because according to that, you'll be asking for data as well. So you have to ask the clients for data and then do the analysis to figure out why something has happened. So that matters as well, to understand that you have that first understanding that, okay, this could be the reason. You have that hypothesis in mind. So forming that hypothesis is important. So you have that hypothesis that this is why this could be happening, and then accordingly you ask the client for data. So that is how you apply it. And guesstimates in general, like even when you want to know that, oh, we can enter this market, maybe the client can enter this market, but we have to understand that what could the market size be. For that also you have to use guesstimates. So guesstimates that way are very important.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Bhaskar, would you like to add something?
Yeah, like that pretty much is what I was also gonna say. So, could you actually repeat the question once so that like if I have any answer?
Yeah, sure. My question was that how do you make the jump from like theoretically preparing for the consulting roles, like say referring to material and doing estimates on your
Mhm.
own, to finally applying it in a job in a professional workplace or a similar environment when you have to actually apply what you have learned? How do you make that jump?
So,
How do you know you're ready?
you will know that you're ready. That is a question which I cannot answer, but how a journey transition is that so when you join a company, right, there will be people who are just above you, who have joined a year ago or a few months ago, who have prior experience in the company, and there will be people who will help you, guide you, and give you a space, a time frame to learn, understand how things work, and slowly you will transition. Also, like if this helps, I can say that in the client calls which I have with my team, I am not I'm not being involved in the conversations right now. I am there just as a spectator for a few weeks so that I know how to react, how to act, and how to respond to people. Right. So I would say in the first few months, it's since you are learning, you'll be given time to learn and you will have margin for errors. But through the process of learning, you yourself will understand that, yes, now I'm ready. And so I suppose that it's been 2 months for me and I still feel that I have a lot to learn. So yeah, I would say it's a gradual process. But along the way there will be people around you to support you and help you out, and it won't be like they'll just throw a problem at you and solve this for this client, right? So it will be a group collaborative effort. So you will have your prior theoretical experience, but I would suggest that go to the company with an open mind to understand and learn things, and you'll be surprised at how much you can do once you like open your mind. So yeah.
Right. Thank you. Now, I think that's enough questions. You have answered everything. So let's move on to our next part. Would you like to give a final general advice and final words to all the people who have attended our session today? So let's start with Mr. Shreyas. Would you like to give one final advice to all the audience?
For consultancy, specifically, I would say you won't see the results at first. You won't even know that whether you are going in the correct path or not. But the only thing that is it that you need to trust the process. Results will come automatically. You will see the results afterwards but initially you won't even have a single clue that whether you are going in the correct or the right path, whether what you are doing is correct or wrong. You just need to go through. And one more is in general I'm speaking, uh, there will be chances, I don't know how the scenario is like for this year's placement, but there will be chances where you will see your peers, your friends, will be getting placed. There will be chances where you might feel a bit, very concerned about your career, like how, like going ahead, what's the thing, what to do, what not to do. But if you really have, like, if you have really have the hard work you have done during the process, and also you have that basic skill set that one needs to thrive in any kind of domain. So irrespective of the placement season, irrespective of the company you are currently placed in, you will grow in life. uh, uh, I know this is coming, you guys most probably will understand it after the placement, but everyone's lives will get sorted. It's not like, once if you are not placed or something, then something like kind of very bad in a career that it is. I've seen very lot of friends who are not placed in in the CTC process, through off campus trials, through LinkedIn process. They have like sorted out their life. So it's basically, don't panic, I would say. The Don't take any kind of stress. The thing is, when I was in your kind of position, a lot of my seniors used to say the same thing, and I don't used to believe the words, because like for that period of time, placements were kind of the most important phase, and you don't really know what's going to happen next. So that's the thing. And now I'm currently sitting in this part of the bench, and as I have felt it, I'm speaking to you. So for sure, I would like to say that, you guys also won't understand what I'm speaking currently now. But the thing is, ki just have this belief that it's not the final step. It's kind of a starting step. And if not this one, then there are a lot of things to do in life. So, just take a chill pill and work hard, have a good work ethic, and try to have a learning mindset. And throughout the process, you won't even know, you will become a very great person in your life. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shreyas. Miss Vatsalya.
Yeah, I would actually like to add to this. What Shreya said is actually right. So I think before I have some advice for the final interview round as well as before that. So before that, I think as soon as this starts, um, I mean I can tell I was really stressed at this point. I used to feel very scared. I was tensed about what was going to happen. But then now that I think about it, don't be stressed and then take the whole thing as a positive experience, because I feel like at the end you will realize how much you've grown as a person. And if you're preparing for consulting, you will realize how much your problem solving skills have also grown. So I think take it as a very positive thing. Don't get stressed. I mean, I and also have friends and family around who can understand you. I was very lucky. I had really good friends, and my family also would always be there to listen to me, to help me understand that what was important. So I would say that way, and prioritize your mental health. Nothing is more important than that. And I mean, don't compare yourself to others. Over here is another thing that I would like to add. You might look at your other friends and think that, oh, XYZ is working so hard, why am I not working that hard? Work hard, but do not compare yourself to others. Do not compare that, oh, this person is solving like 4 5 cases per day and I'm solving only 1 case per day. Over here, what matters is the quality of your effort and not the quantity of cases you're solving. It doesn't matter if you're solving 5 cases if you're not learning something out of it. So always keep that in mind. Do not compare yourself to others over here. Do not compare that your effort to someone else's effort as well. Um, and then for the final interview day, what I would like to add is be calm. I think it is very, very important to be calm and get a proper night's sleep. And I mean it. I'm not telling it just for the sake of it. I mean it. Get like a proper 8 9 hours sleep, 8 hours sleep minimum before the interview day. I know it might be difficult because you might be quite stressed, but try to get a proper sleep. Try to meditate in the morning that day, and then just be calm and like have proper meals, don't stress too much about anything. It is going to be all right. And like Shreya said, there are a lot of our batchmates who did not get placed through CDC, but later got placed off campus into very good firms. So it is not the end of the world. Not getting a job is not the end of the world. You still have options later. And if you feel like you're not getting jobs anywhere, you can also apply for like MS, whatever you want to do next year. So you always take your own time, don't stress about anything, but at the same time, work hard. Look at it in a positive way, because at the end, you will realize how much you've grown.
Thank you, Ms. Vatsalya. Mr. Bhaskar, final advice for our audience.
What is the point of giving the advice if people are still going to be tensed about the interview, right? So I would say that just enhance the experience by learning from it. So from the beginning, while preparing, be serious, be disciplined, try to, it's very hard in KGP life to be disciplined. There are numerous distractions. Even like you will have friends who have already gotten a PPO and it's their final year, they'll be enjoying, but you'll still have to work hard to get a job. You'll be working on yourself. So yeah, to add to what Vatsalya said, instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself with yourself. And this is something which people think is not that great of a deal, but it will help you while preparing for the placement, while giving the interview, as well as in your career forward after joining as a consultant. Compare yourself with yourself, because it will show you how much you're growing, what things that you are doing are helping you improve, and what things that you are doing in your life are slowing you down from getting better, right? Also, for me, I was a pretty chill guy. While going to the interview, I did get a good amount of sleep. Yes, that is a good advice. Get a good sleep, eat well. I know sleep cycles are not good in Kharagpur, so try to at least have a 6 to 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep if you can before your interview. Also, always have people around you. Always, even though you feel that you are strong enough to do the things on your own, there are people who are busy with their own stuff. But anyone, if he's a good friend of yours, he or she can take out 10-15 minutes of their time to talk to you. How's it going? How are you feeling? And also, like, you might need friends to wake you up after you're awake late at night and you got a shortlist for an interview. That has happened to my friends. They're sleeping, we are waking them up. You have an interview, go. Right? So having a good group of friends around you is really helpful. And be in touch with your family. Be Try to just, you know enjoy the experience, I would say. Be serious about it, but at the same time, don't let it tense you up so much that even if you deserve that company, you have worked so hard, but at the final day of interview, you go there and then you just stop. Okay, what's the worst that gonna happen? You'll not get that job. There are multiple other jobs waiting in line for you, right? So just try to give your best. Someone is in front of you asking you questions, give your best answer which you can. He's not gonna slap you if you give a wrong answer, right? So yeah, just take a chill pill, as Shreyas said, and uh, all the best for your placement, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar. That was wonderful advice. Uh, I think with that, we have gotten answers to most, if not all, the questions one could possibly have about consulting. Lastly, we extend a sincere appreciation to our panelists for generously sharing their expertise, insights, and valuable knowledge. Your contributions have enriched this discussion, making it not only informative but highly engaging.
So all of you, like, very much thank you for all of your time. It is really nice interacting with all of you. I would also like to express our gratitude to our attentive audience. We truly value your presence and the vital role you have played in today's discussion. Thank you for being an essential part of the conversation. So tomorrow we have a conversation related to the data profile. So stay tuned for that. And thank you everyone. Good night for today.
Thank you, Janta. Bye bye.
Thank, Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.